Hello and welcome to Kent Tonight Live on KMTV. I'm Kristen Hawthorne and here are your top stories on Tuesday the 11th of November. Dealership dismay. Sittingbourne business owner left desperate after wall collapses on 20 vehicles.
It's been tough because obviously I'm still trying to provide for him as well as keep myself afloat, so keep my house paid for, keep the business floating.
Medway falls silent. 107th Armistice Day is marked in the towns.
Particularly poignant for me to be here today to witness this and pay my respects and witness this act of remembrance.
And boxing for the ban. Fight night in Maidstone, all in aid of raising awareness around mental health.
No matter how low you're feeling, there are people that are caring for you and fighting for you and reaching out for you.
But first tonight, a Sittingbourne car dealer fears he might have to close his business after a wall between him and the neighbouring Lidl store collapsed into his forecourt, riding off 12 cars and damaging several more. Tom Bowles of T-Bowles Vehicle Sales says the incident has left him devastated and on the edge of financial ruin. Ownership for the wall is yet to be established, meaning a £120,000 bill for the destroyed cars has been left unclaimed. Chloe Brewster has more.
A car dealership in Sittingbourne has been out of operation since July after a wall in the car park collapsed and caused over £120,000 worth of damage. The dealership, which shares a border with the town's Lidl, says liability for the wall hasn't yet been determined, leaving the small business in financial limbo.
Obviously the wall that's fallen down was roughly 15 foot high, but just luckily it was at 5:10 in the morning rather than at 10:10, because obviously at 10:10 there would have been someone here. And that's when someone could have been injured or worse. And the extent of the damage, obviously, it's flattened some of the roofs down to the steering wheels.
It's been 6 months since a wall at Tom Bowles' business fell down and destroyed 20 vehicles.
While Tom doesn't know exactly whether the wall is Lidl's property, he says it was the supermarket giant who had previously commissioned surveyors and contractors to assess it, having planned to take measures to ensure its safety before it fell. His insurance company has offered him a payout of £40,000, but he says he believes he should be compensated fully.
So I've been buying and selling cars since I was 14, and then I made the jump at 23 to start this up full time. So I built it up from virtually nothing, from a couple of cars up to having 60 cars, and obviously overnight it's pretty much squashed it.
He reckons the total retail loss of the vehicles, loss of earnings and the amount he pays in rent and business rates is nearing £250,000. The outgoings have forced him to return to work elsewhere as a motor mechanic and drain his young family's savings.
Trying to be a parent to my little boy as well and have him every weekend still, it's been tough because obviously I'm still trying to provide for him as well as keep myself afloat, so keep my house paid for, keep the business floating where it can and obviously operating, so when it is settled we can open again, but hopefully as strong as we was in the start.
Lidl declined to comment on this story until its insurance process is over, and Tom hopes liability for the wall will soon be claimed so he can begin to rebuild his business brick by brick. Chloe Brewster for KMTV in Sittingbourne.
Next, Kent County Councillors' leader has raised concerns about the BBC in a new social media video. Reform UK's Lyndon Kimcairn has taken to X to express fears the national broadcaster may make her look bad in an upcoming documentary. The comments follows news that US President Donald Trump has said he's suing the corporation over edits made in a speech where they appeared to show him encouraging rioting on January the 6th, 2021. Here's what she said.
I have a genuine dilemma. Laura Kuenssberg is making a documentary about the rise of reform, and I've had her documentary crew following me about for the last month, filming my speeches, filming me in meetings, doing interviews with me. How do I know I can trust what is going to happen in that final edit? Will they splice together things that I've said to make me look bad? Will they try and misrepresent me? I've given them a lot of access and they want to come down and do some more filming later this week, and I genuinely don't know whether I should allow them in anymore because the BBC has broken the trust of the entire nation.
Now, the two men accused of murdering a man in his home in Chatham are to stand trial in May next year. Mark Jesse and Shane Rule were arrested and charged for the death of Charles Belsman, who died from a single stab wound in a property on Castle Road. Both men have appeared at Maidstone Crown Court, and Megan Shaw joins me now in the studio with further details. So we've been following this story as it unfolds. What is the latest update here?
So as you said there, Mark Jesse and Shane Rule, after being arrested and charged for murder, are set to appear at trial in May 2026. That's 51-year-old Mr Jesse of Castle Road in Chatham and 41-year-old Mr Rule of no fixed address. Both appeared in Maidstone Crown Court yesterday, and during these proceedings they were told by the judge, Julian Smith, that if they did not plead guilty by their next hearing in February, they'd be trialled. At the moment, they were remanded back into custody by the judge.
And there are additional charges against Jesse as well. Can you tell us about that?
So that's right. So Mr Jesse, alongside a third man, 40-year-old Ashley Robinson from Meadowbank Road in Chatham, also faces charge of arson and handling stolen goods. Now, these additional charges are said to be linked to the alleged murder of Mr Belsham, as a car was set alight outside a home in Chatham the same day Mr Belsham died, as well as the theft of a vehicle 2 days earlier. So Mr Jesse and Mr Anderson will appear in court regarding those offences on the 5th of December.
And can you tell me a bit more about what's happened so far?
Of course, so on Saturday the 1st November, Mr Belsham suffered a single stab wound at a house on Castle Road in Chatham at 10:12 a.m. Unfortunately, he died at the scene while being attended to by paramedics, and a police investigation was subsequently launched after the 43-year-old died at the scene. The police were able to link the investigation to two other reported offences, so those ones I mentioned before, the arson and the theft. And as part of their investigation, Kent Police were asking for people in the area to check their CCTV or their dash cam footage in case there was any evidence on there. Initially, a 45-year-old woman was arrested in connection with the incident, but she's since been bailed pending further inquiries. Those arrested appeared at Folkestone Magistrates Court on November the 6th, where they were remanded in custody, and this precedes Mr Jesse and Mr Rule appearing at Maidstone Crown Court on the 10th of November, so that's yesterday.
Thank you, Megan. Now, leaked Kent County Council papers indicate a town centre office block at Invicta House in Maidstone might be sold and converted into high-density housing. The documents state the 65,000 square foot property with 250 parking spaces is viewed as an attractive large house of multiple occupation site under permitted development rights. Local councillors are warning that such a shift could alter town centre dynamics, citing previous conversations of office space for other use. The council says it is reviewing its options for the building and its future use. Next, towns and villages across Medway and the rest of the county have come together to mark Armistice Day. A 2-minute silence was held across the UK at 11 a.m. this morning to commemorate the exact time fighting in the First World War ended on 11th of November in 1918. From Chatham Naval Memorial to Chatham Town FC, services were held to remember those who fought and fell, as our community reporter Henry Luck has been finding out.
On the 11th hour of the 11th month, Medway joined the rest of the country in silence to pay respect to a historic occasion, that being Armistice Day, which marked the end of the First World War, a conflict that took countless lives. Ex-servicemen came together at Chatham's Naval Memorial to honour those who had fallen. There's even a service taking place at Chatham Town Football Club. So let's go and see what the community of Medway has done to remember Armistice Day. The service saw the appearance of Medway political figures and players of Chatham Town FC paying their respects.
It is actually personally quite powerful for me as well, because my grandfather served in the British Armed Forces. Now, I never met him, he died before I was born, but that is part of my family's proud history, that he served in the Armed Forces, and it's particularly poignant for me to be here today to witness this and pay my respects and witness this act of remembrance to all of those who served in the Armed Forces and who secured this society of liberty and freedom for us all to enjoy.
Of course, yeah, it's very, very important. It's important that they understand what people have been through, the whole reason behind Armistice Day, Remembrance Day. It's very important that we share it with them so that they can then pass it on to future generations. Because here at the club, for example, we do try and educate our young people in every single area, not just football, but in all walks of life in terms of key skills. We try and educate them as best we can.
It's been an emotional day, yes. This is actually my third service of the day, so but it's well worth the effort. You can probably tell by my voice, I'm not in the best of health at the moment, but I'm still determined to make the effort to get out and pay my respects, because it's very important.
Those present hope this timeless message is remembered in the hearts of those in Medway, and that the years never condemn it. We will remember them. Henry Luck for KMTV in Medway.
Now it's time for a quick break, but coming up, Nasir Mosque is holding a special event to mark Armistice Day as well. Imam Safir Khan will join us to tell us more about the event and what it means and why they're doing it. We'll also have a sports roundup from across the county, and we will take a look at the weather from across the county as well, as it's been a bit dull today, so we'll have a look to see if it'll get any brighter. But we will see you in about 3 minutes, so don't go anywhere, and we will see you then to discuss all of the above. Hello and welcome back to Kent Tonight live on KMTV. Now, as part of the Medway's Interfaith Week, Gillingham's Nasir Mosque is hosting a special gathering to mark Armistice Day, reflecting on peace, unity and a shared respect across all communities. The event is organised by the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, which the mosque primarily serves, and welcomes people of all faiths and backgrounds to come together to remember those who fought in the Great War. Imam Safir Khan from the mosque joins us now to tell us more about the event. So, what's happening then? What can you tell us?
Yeah, so as you described, this is an event that we are holding this evening. And the main purpose of that is that we want to promote peace and also remember, obviously, the past and people who have made sacrifices and lost their lives in doing so. And I think it's very much connected because we have to learn from the past in order to change the future. And in the world that we live in at the moment, there are so many conflicts, so many people suffering across the world. So we want to, send out a message as well as bringing community and faiths and people together to make a stand for peace and justice in our societies.
And what can people expect? I mean, what's happening? What's the sort of rota of the day?
Yeah, so we are opening our doors at 6 o'clock. We have time for networking, and then afterwards we'll have a formal program in which we will have a couple of talks about peace, justice and remembrance. And then we will also have a chance to have question answers so people can ask any questions. Because we believe that the Ahmadiyya Muslim community believes that it's very important to have open door policy in our communities and to let people ask us questions, because we want to remove the misconceptions people have about Islam, because Islam is a peaceful religion and sometimes people have questions. People have doubt, and we want to remove that, and we want to assure people that we want to establish peace, and we also want to show them that we share with them the values here in the UK.
And then can you tell me a bit about the work that you do across Medway as well?
Yes, of course. Our mosque was founded it was inaugurated in 2014, and the name is Nasir Mosque. Nasir means helper. So in the name of the mosque, it was an indication for us. The worldwide head of our community said that make sure that you do activities to help and assist the local communities, that we integrate into the society, and that we have open doors. So we have done lots of open days programs that we have talked about here before as well, and this is a continuation we try to do every year.
And I know we discussed this just a minute ago, but is combating division and celebrating harmony something that you prioritise often, even if the different things across the world weren't happening?
Yes, I think it's always relevant because we are, from different backgrounds. People are from different backgrounds, different religions, faiths. And this week also is a week that remembers the interfaith as well, Interfaith Week. So as part of that, lots of other communities are also doing events. So we try to go to other communities, build relationships and friendships. And we have seen that when we work together with the people of all different walks of life, we achieve better results.
And did you have this last year as well? Did you do the same thing last year?
We did different events. They had different themes, but it was a similar kind of setup. So it was an open day kind of thing. People could come in, ask questions, and we have a cup of coffee, tea, refreshments also for our guests. And yeah, it was very much enjoyed by the guests. So we had, every year we try to do these events from time to time.
Excellent. So hopefully it'll be a similar success this evening.
Thank you very much.
Are you doing anything else for Medway Interfaith Week?
Yes, we are trying to go and attend the other events that other communities are holding, because that's, as I mentioned, that's the best way to kind of build, friendship as well as connection with other faiths and backgrounds. So we are going to try to do that, and hopefully that will make us understand much more how much we have in common in different, because faiths, people think it's like different, people are different, whereas actually there are a lot of things, most things bring people together. It's more unity. We have more in common than we have differences.
Amazing. Well, I'm sure people will be looking forward to tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, don't forget you can keep up to date with all the latest stories across Kent by visiting our website kmtv.co.uk. There you'll find all the reports, including this one, surrounding the launch of a new independent party by local former reformers amid the political chaos in County Hall.
Expelled but not out for the count. That's the message from Bill Barrett and Robert Ford. Former reformers not only officially launching a new independent party, but announcing legal action to go with it.
I'm currently taking legal advice regarding defamation of my character by by Reform UK and KCC.
At this point in time, we're in advanced discussions with at least 2 additional members that may join the independent reformers. We don't know whether they will, and we don't know whether they won't. What I'd like to say to members of the press today is that this grouping is a warm sanctuary for people that have been expelled, mistreated, defamed, or in general just basically abused by the leadership in there.
The news comes as fellow councillor Isabella Kemp announced she's taking the party to industrial tribunal after being dismissed from her role at Reform HQ last week. Her suspension from the party brings the number of councillors Reform have lost in their first 6 months to 9.
Now Reform have lost half of their majority in just 6 months. I understand people are placing bets on when the Reform administration is going to collapse, whether it be Christmas or Easter, and they're just fighting with each other rather than getting to grips with the real problems facing people in Kent.
The draft budget still has not been made public, nor have decisions been taken on council tax rises. Is the infighting and legal action being taken, making it harder for the Reform administration to do their jobs?
It's certainly annoying. I certainly wish it hadn't happened. I just want everybody to pull together as a team so we can get on with the really important work that we were elected to do. But no, if it's a distraction, it's been a very minor one. I dealt with it very swiftly and very decisively. It's done, it's finished, we move on.
The Reform leadership say they have to wait for the Chancellor's autumn statement at the end of the month before any firm financial decisions can be made. But after another week of chaos at County Hall, the road to financial and political stability has never looked longer. Ollie Leader in Maidstone.
Now, of course, there's a lot of sports stories happening across Medway, so here is the latest roundup from across the county with Marcellus Almazar.
First up, Gillingham takes on Wycombe Wanderers at Priestfield later, with both sides battling it out for the second group stage qualifying spot alongside Colchester United in the Virtue Trophy. Emotions will be high on the pitch and the sidelines as the Gills manager, Gareth Ainsworth, leads the team against his former side, especially as both teams have 4 points, making tonight's game a vital turning point for Southern Group G. Catch this deciding match at 7 p.m. at Priestfield tonight. Moving on to boxing, Maidstone boxer Sean Noakes returns to the ring this week for the first time since letting go of his English welterweight title. This marks the first time doing an on-the-day weigh-in in his career. He hasn't fought since defending his belt against Jermaine Osborne Edwards at the end of March, making his record 10-0. He will appear in a 6-round bout on Frank Warren's dinner show in London in preparation for another high-profile match after Christmas. Despite a few fights falling through this year, he hopes to regain his footing in 2026. And on to racing, Dover's own racing rider Jake Dixon crashes at turn 3 on the final lap of the Moto2 Portuguese Grand Prix, ending his win streak after his time in Malaysia. He blames the track grip and his own defensive racing strategy that pushed him over the limit in the last lap. Diogo Moreira won the race for Italtrans Racing with Dixon's teammate Philip Salak placing 15th. Dixon, 5th in the stands, ends his season at Valencia, where the title will also be decided this weekend. And finally in rugby, Medway women suffered a narrow loss on the return to NC1 Southeast action, losing 29-7 at home to Jersey. Medway's dominance was set early on with Gemma Duncan displaying her usual strength, grounding the ball in the opening try. Despite their strong opening, the second half showed Jersey's renewed vigour, conceding a string of penalties that allowed them to regain territory. Medway then struck back through Ireless Westbrook gaining some on Jersey, but the final quarter saw an eventual defeat. Laura Charter took the back of the match plaudits, while Beth Ryan was named forward of the match. Medway are set to battle the Portsmouth Valkyries on November 23rd.
Now, I've been told by the people out in Rochester today that it's been a little bit dull, so let's take a look at the weather to see if it brightens up at all. Well, tonight we can expect to see light showers across the west of Kent and overcast skies in the east with temperatures of 13 and 14 across the board. In tomorrow morning we will see rain give way to cloudy skies with some brief sunny spells. Temperatures the same, 13 to 14. Into the afternoon then, clouds will give way to sunny skies with some clouds over Medway and Dartford. 15 degrees on Thursday and Friday, 14 degrees on Saturday with rain on Thursday and Friday, so it doesn't look like it's brightening up at all. Now, 3 swans and several thousand fish have been killed in what the Environment Agency has described as a pollution incident between Canterbury and Thanet. Affecting 6 kilometres of the Sarpen stream and River Wonsum, the incident was first reported this Sunday when Kent wildlife volunteer Johnny Allen spotted the dead animals. Mr Allen has cautioned the public to keep out of the river as the source of the pollution is yet to be discovered. He told Kent Online, "It's not worth losing your dog or you yourself ending up in hospital." The Environment Agency is still investigating the incident and have asked the public to report any information to their hotline. Now it's time for a quick break, but coming up, a business owner in Sittingbourne is awaiting compensation for £120,000 of destroyed vehicles. Kent business leaders also discuss estimates that payroll numbers are dropping faster than expected, and Reform UK's suspension of multiple Kent County councillors has left Kent Fire and Rescue in disarray. We will see you in just a few minutes, so don't go anywhere. Hello and welcome back to Kent Tonight Live on KMTV. Here's a reminder of our top stories. Dealership dismay. Sittingbourne business owner left desperate after wall collapses on 20 vehicles. Medway falls silent. 107th Armistice Day is marked in the towns. And boxing for the baton. Fight night in Maidstone, all in aid of raising awareness around mental health. But first, a look back to our top story. A Sittingbourne car dealer fears he might have to close his business after a wall between him and the neighbouring Lidl store collapsed into his forecourt, riding off 12 cars and damaging several more. Tom Bowles of T-Bowles Vehicle Sales says the incident has left him devastated and on the edge of financial ruin. Ownership of the wall is yet to be established, meaning a £120,000 bill for the destroyed cars has been left unclaimed. Chloe Brewster has more.
A car dealership in Sittingbourne has been out of operation since July after a wall in the car park collapsed and caused over £120,000 worth of damage. The dealership, which shares a border with the town's Lidl, says liability for the wall hasn't yet been determined, leaving the small business in financial limbo.
Obviously, the wall that's fallen down was roughly 15 foot high, but just luckily it was 5:10 in the morning rather than at 10:10, because obviously at 10:10 there would have been someone here, and that's when someone could have been injured or worse. And the extent of the damage, obviously, it's flattened some of the roofs down to the steering wheels.
It's been 6 months since a wall at Tom Bowles' business fell down and destroyed 20 vehicles.
While Tom doesn't know exactly whether the wall is Lidl's property, he says it was the supermarket giant who had previously commissioned surveyors and contractors to assess it, having planned to take measures to ensure its safety before it fell. His insurance company has offered him a payout of £40,000, but he says he believes he should be compensated fully.
I've been buying and selling cars since I was 14, and then I made the jump at 23 to start this up full time. So I built it up from virtually nothing, from a couple of cars up to having 60 cars, and obviously overnight it's pretty much squashed it.
He reckons the total retail loss of the vehicles, loss of earnings and the amount he pays in rent and business rates is nearing £250,000. The outgoings have forced him to return to work elsewhere as a motor mechanic and drain his young family's savings.
Trying to be a parent to my little boy as well and have him every weekend still, it's been tough because obviously I'm still trying to provide for him as well as keep myself afloat, so keep my house paid for, keep the business floating where it can, and obviously operating so when it is settled we can open again, but hopefully as strong as we was in the start.
Lidl declined to comment on this story until its insurance process is over, and Tom hopes liability for the wall will soon be claimed so he can begin to rebuild his business brick by brick. Chloe Brewster for KMTV in Sittingbourne.
Now, Kent business leaders have been reacting to new figures from the Office for National Statistics, which show the UK's unemployment rate has risen to 5%, the highest level since the pandemic. The Bank of England says it doesn't expect that figure to change significantly in the next few years, pointing to a weakening job market. Early estimates suggest payroll numbers have fallen by around 180,000 since January, which is a sharper drop than expected. The KM's business editor, Chris Bircher, spoke to me earlier to discuss the figures.
Kent has a slightly lower rate. I think nationally it's about 5%. In Kent, it tends to be around sort of 3.4, 3.5, something along those lines. I mean, Kent is going to be impacted just as everyone else is, but obviously the fact we are close to London does rather broaden our options in terms of employment here. And
do you think it could increase the amount of people in Kent that are going to need unemployment benefits?
Well, I mean, obviously, if there are more people out of work, then they are going to be claiming benefits, which is not great news for the government because obviously that adds to their benefit bill and most importantly, perhaps especially post this budget, it reduces the revenues that they can generate through our taxes. So it's certainly not a position that the government are going to be overly keen on. I mean, the figures are still, you know, if you compare it to when the recession back in the early 1990s, there was an unemployment rate of over 10%. So we're a long way from that, but obviously it is a concern that these figures are creeping up and up month on month.
And have you heard anybody that you've been speaking to that has reached out to you about the problem, saying that they can't get jobs, or have you heard anything from anybody in the county itself?
Well, I think the most of all you hear from businesses who basically just say, look, we need certainty. We always hear that. And what they've got at the moment is buckets and buckets of loads of uncertainty. We've got a budget on the horizon. We've got all those additional costs that they've been having to find. And what it basically means is they have to look at, one of their biggest expenditures, which is employing staff. And they may well be thinking, well, I'll tell you what, let's not employ those extra people that normally we would, because we're not sure quite what lies around the corner. With the budget will increase the cost of employing people or any other taxes. So it's a challenging position for businesses. You have to sympathise with them to a certain extent.
And do you expect that the rates could maybe change with the upcoming budget, or how could it look in the budget?
That is the how long is a piece of string question, sadly. It entirely depends on what Rachel Reeves pulls out of her red box on November 26th. I mean, obviously, what businesses would like to see is some reduction in their cost base, because especially after last year, if they can reduce that and the economic headwinds look a little calmer and a little bit like things are going in the right direction, then that confidence returns, then employment can start to really pick up again. So it's, a lot is riding on this budget. It won't solve everything, but it could certainly ease issues that we're seeing at the moment.
And do you think it would cause an increase in the amount of small businesses, or would it cause a decrease? What does it kind of look like for maybe people who are having to go into self-employment?
I mean, it could do. I mean, often people, when they are made redundant, or they can't find a job, they think, okay, well, let's go out on our own. So it may well spark an increase, but the problem is they're going to face all the additional costs that every other business faces. So yes, there may be sort of one man or one woman bands going along, but it's difficult to tell. I think most people who they really just want a job and a nice clear career prospect. So it's a tricky one to call.
Do you think that the council are doing enough to help people in Kent with the solution, or is it just such a national problem that it can't really be fixed with the councils?
To be honest, I think this is out of the remit of the councils. I think this is a national government issue, and it's going to rely on taxes, it's going to rely on business rates. There's a whole host of things that will just ease the burden for businesses, which in turn allows them to loosen the purse strings a little bit and hire the people that they would perhaps have otherwise more recently have thought, well, because we're not sure what lurks around the corner.
Now, Reform UK's suspension and expulsion of multiple Kent County councillors has left the county's fire service unable to make major spending decisions. That's according to the Fire Brigades Union. Former councillors Brian Black and Isabella Kemp were chair and vice chair of the Kent and Medway Fire and Rescue Authority before being removed in the wake of leaks from a heated Kent County Council meeting. The Fire Brigades Union said the authority, which governs Kent Fire and Rescue Service, was in disarray and unable to carry out its full functions as a result. Here's Joe Weir from the union.
What we'd say is that the concern is more political. The front-facing service at this moment in time, it should not be impacted in the immediacy. So what I will say, the longer this chaos, though, continues, there will be problems, because there are significant purchases that need to be paid. For example, if there's significant equipment, and equipment doesn't come cheap that the firefighters are using in Kent Fire and Rescue Service, they cannot be scrutinised, they cannot be paid for, and therefore you could find that things start getting a backlog of equipment that's needed.
Next, emergency services were called to the car park of Morrison's Supermarket on Cheriton Road in Folkestone this morning after a vehicle crashed into a post at around 10 a.m. A fire engine and the police attended the scene to assist in recovering the car and to manage the incident. No injuries, however, have been reported. Now, Kent residents might be surprised to know, to know that the term 6-7, I did a small one, has been crowned the 2025 Word of the Year. Dictionary.com have chosen the internet slang term, which has gone viral in recent months. Its exact meaning remains ambiguous. But what do shoppers in Rochester actually make of the term, and do they even know anything about it? Let's take a quick look to see what they thought.
No.
6-7, no, I've heard it, but I don't know what it means.
No.
Absolutely not.
I don't belong to this language nowadays. I speak English, not what gobbledygook they do day.
6-7. No.
You know, I was taught English, not weird scientific language. It doesn't. I don't belong. I'm of a different period. Right.
I'd give those boxes about a 6-7. Now, in entertainment news, it's been confirmed that the Rochester, people are laughing in my ear, Rochester model and actress Kelly Brook will be starring in I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. The radio DJ had previously vowed never to take part in the hit survival show, but has now revealed she changed her mind after running the London Marathon. She explained the run and taking part in the race across the world last year with her husband, Jeremy, made her realise she can do things she never thought was possible. Kelly said she did not think it was ever in me to do the challenges and the Bush Tucker trials, but now she will arrive in Australia this week ahead of the show's start in November 16th. Now, that's all we have for the moment, but we will be back in just a few minutes. We'll be taking a look at all the latest sport, and we'll be joined by Finn McDermott to explain a little bit about it, and what the public think about the earlier onset of Christmas festivities. And we will also be joined by KMTV's Corey Miller at Baton of Hope event to raise awareness for mental health and suicide prevention. We will see you in just a few minutes, so don't go anywhere, and we will talk about everything, and it'll be much less cringe, I promise. Hello and welcome back to Kent Tonight live on KMTV. Now, we're going to have a look at all of Kent's sports coming up, from your cup football with the Gills facing off against Gareth Ainsworth, former side Wycombe Wanderers, to League Rugby over in Canterbury. Invicta Sports' Finn McDermott joins me now in the studio to discuss the latest. Finn, so how's it looking for the Gills?
Well, it's been a mixed bag recently, Kristen. They've been on good form very recently. It depends how recently you're looking, really. They had their 1-0 win over Bristol Rovers last night, which many were sort of hailing as the comeback, really, because recently they've been on awful form. I've got a quick list here. Newport, Salford, Grimsby, Cheltenham, Colchester, MK Dons, Harrogate Town. No wins. Didn't matter if they were home or away, league fixture, cup tie, they just weren't doing well. But that is the saviour right there, Max Clark. He managed to score that lone goal for them. So many Gills fans will be hoping that tonight they'll be making another good result. It's not going to be 3 points. Like I say, it's not a league fixture, this one. It is part of the Virtu Trophy. They'll be facing off against Wycombe Wanderers, like you mentioned there, Ainsworth's former club. And it's not exactly quite the same Gills that we've seen as of a few games ago. I mean, Glenn Morris was injured, so you had Jake Turner stepping up between the sticks. Like I say, Max Clark really helping out there, but really the attack hasn't looked great. We can actually have a quick look at the lineups. We can see those now that show the lineup. Like I say, it's not a familiar sight. These are some of our younger players. Maybe they haven't got enough playing time. Holtham, I believe, was on loan to Ashford United recently, so he's come back into the squad. Then you've got Acomia, another loan player there. He's the loan signing from Watford until January. Aaron Rowe starts on the wing, only his 4th appearance for the side. Johnny Smith, another lone player and another winger. So hopefully some of these young stars can really start to prove themselves and fill some of these injury gaps. So hopefully going forward this proves to be a good thing, that if we can win these small games, hopefully we can win the big ones in the league as well.
And what about rugby? What's happening this weekend?
Well, that is an interesting one. So Canterbury Rugby Club, they're going to be having a game against the London Welsh this weekend. And I wanted to talk about this because it's quite an interesting thing here. They're partnering with, let me get this right, Chaucer Hospital, Canterbury's private healthcare provider, to talk about prostate cancer. And they're going to be basically down there offering a service with the NHS to test people for prostate cancer. And yeah, I thought it was interesting to talk about. I have some statistics here. They talk about this thing called a PSA, which is a prostate-specific antigen. 15% of men with a normal PSA level still may have prostate cancer. 1 in 3 men with a raised one will have cancer. So it's really a great way of using sport, and especially, we're in the big 2025 now. People should be able to talk about their feelings, especially there's this common stigma amongst men that they feel they aren't able to. And, rugby is a very macho sport, but there's that real family sort of aspect to it. And yeah, so I thought it'd be interesting just to mention it, that people can book it and while they go and watch the rugby.
Thank you, Finn. Very exciting weekend ahead. But now, don't forget you can keep up to date with all the latest stories across Kent by visiting our website at kmtv.co.uk. There you'll find all the reports, including this one, about a moving tribute of poppies at Harbour Station in Folkestone to commemorate those who sailed off from the seaside town between 1914 and 1918.
The last sighting of home for millions of troops more than 100 years ago. Folkestone Harbour. This Sunday we will celebrate Remembrance Day to honour and remember all those who have served and sacrificed their lives during World War II. For the upcoming Remembrance Weekend, 800 poppies have been installed along the length of Harbour Station as a tribute to the estimated 9.7 million troops that passed through Folkestone Harbour during the Great War. The symbol of the poppy is well known and well established. It carries a wealth of history and meaning with it. The red poppy became a symbol of remembrance after the 1915 poem In Flanders Fields, which was inspired by the flowers growing on the battlefields of World War I.
I think they're wonderful. It's in many ways it's a good place for them because these 2 platforms here, plus the one on next to the quayside, these are the platforms that soldiers would have got on the train to go home on. And it's a nice sort of tribute to those who didn't.
I think the display are really, really beautiful, really excellent the way it's been put out, especially for the remembrance, because that's something that needs to be carried on and through for eternity, really, because it should never be forgotten what went on, and the young boys and women that lost their lives during 2 conflicts, so that we can walk free and speak freely and live the life we live. It should never be forgotten. I think overall, yeah, you can never do enough. Overall, I think yes, as long as it's remembered, I mean particularly on the Sunday Remembrance Day on the 11th, yes, but it must be carried on by everybody, not just certain people in society. It must be carried on as a nation, a national thing, a nationwide thing.
I think it's vital to keep it going, and I think we have successfully kept it going. You know, I don't see any reason why it should stop.
Though the exhibit ends after Remembrance Sunday, the message of Lest We Forget will continue to resonate with those in the seaside town, from where so many would catch their last glimpse of the county and the country. Maisie Walker for KMTV, Folkestone.
Now, from holly wreaths in November to wrapping paper in August, the annual debate on whether Christmas comes too early continues to rage amongst homes here in Kent. With Halloween and bonfire night behind us, is it ready to start thinking about festive tidings? We asked shoppers in Rochester what they thought.
Not until December. I'll say about 3 weeks beforehand.
Generally 1st of December, 2nd of December, because it's my son's birthday on the 1st.
It's far too early. It loses the magic of Christmas. I know the people in the shops try to give the customers a long amount of time in which to do their shopping.
Ideally, beginning of December.
Well, if I had my way, it would be around about the start of December. Of course, these days, shops decide to put it on as early as they can to try and get people to buy their goods before anyone else's.
Yeah, but now I'm on my own, I don't tend to bother. I've just got a little tree where the lights don't work because they're broke, and I've got a few decorations I put up, not too many.
24th of December.
Yeah, no, a bit later than what they do.
The earliest time I have is sometimes in the January sale. Sometimes if I've seen something reduced a fraction of the original cost, I thought, right, that'll do for someone next Christmas. But that's the earliest.
Normally the beginning weekend of December, although sometimes that does fall at the end of November.
I reckon beginning of December. But I know shops try to get them up as early as they can for commercial reasons.
And finally, getting in the ring to raise awareness for mental health and suicide prevention. That was what dozens of boxers and fans looked to do this weekend in Maidstone. It was part of an event organised by the charity Baton of Hope, and KMTV's Corey Miller was there.
Mayhem, match day and mental health. 3 unlikely phrases to hear in the same sentence. But on Sunday in Maidstone, amateur to seasoned boxers took to the ring to raise awareness and combat suicide rates in Kent. The Baton of Hope is the UK's largest suicide prevention charity. They recently visited the county in September as its Olympic torch made its way around Kent, where it made its mark on the community.
I sit on the organising committee for the charity, so I was project lead for the Kent and Medway tour, for the Baton of Hope's tour they did in September, October this year. So I've been involved in the charity for about 3 years. The community as well, I mean, you've probably seen today just how close we are. It's like a family, like a second family here. Everyone's got everyone's back. And Al, like my coach, is just amazing. It's like a therapy session.
It was a full arena. Friends and family were all gathered to view and support the competition. There was a wide variety of fighters with all different ages, weight and ability. From featherweight to heavyweight, we saw it all.
I want to win it. I'm going in to win, but at the end of the day, it is for a charity cause. To bring awareness about suicide prevention, helping those who might be struggling. There's been a lot of times where stuff has been going on in personal life that has been stressing me out, a bit sad, a bit down. You come to a session, you train for an hour, train for a couple of hours, you walk out with a grin on your face feeling great. Speak about it. Friends, co-workers who you're close with, family, speak about it.
Each fighter has been training day in, day out for months leading up to the event. all of which choosing to do so for something true to themselves. Some fought for their own mental health, whereas others chose to fight for those who are no longer here to fight for themselves. In the ring, everyone was fighting for one another.
For personal reasons, I wanted to get involved. A very good friend of mine had a difficult time and as a result took his own life. The reason we're all doing it is to try and promote a message and to let people know that you're not alone out there, and that no matter how low you're feeling, there are people that are caring for you and fighting for you and reaching out for you.
Data shows that registered deaths by suicide have become stagnant in recent years, showing a call for further support from charities like Baton of Hope. With the success of the event, the charity has shattered their predicted goal of £5,000 and managed to so far raise £6,088, supporting the Baton of Hope in continuing to spread awareness. Corey for MTV in Maidstone. If you have been affected by the subjects covered in this report, Samaritans can be reached on 116 123.
Great piece there by Corey Miller, and of course it is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month this month, so we will be raising awareness for that throughout the month as well. But you've been watching Kent Tonight live on KMTV, where there's more news made just for you throughout the evening. You can always keep up to date with all our latest news